What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Hawkaholics podcast as we kick off this baseball season. I am Brad, the host, obviously, and I'm joined today by Mr. Chris. Hold on, Chris. I think I'm having some issues here. Give me one moment. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Here, let me pop back out. I can't see anything right now. Hold on. Anyway, we'll keep sending it. Of course, I'm having issues. Anyway, well, kicking off this baseball season, man. I'm excited. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing good. I mean, it's Wednesday. First pitch is 2 days away. Unless you're a JUCO fan and you've been able to watch some JUCO baseball so far.
That is true, man. That is true. Hold on. Give me one moment here. Let me try something real quick. Think you can wing it for like 2 seconds?
I mean, rookie's gonna rookie, right? What did you do?
You ain't no rookie. I don't know what. Hold on. Let me see if I just got it. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Well, I'm here. I mean, Brad will be back shortly, I hope. But baseball season, I've actually got to watch a little bit of JUCO so far. And you're going to have to switch this because, yeah, there you go.
That's better. Sorry about that, guys. All right, I'm good. I'm good now. Well, yeah, welcome in, everybody. Guess we'll restart this, man. Man, I'm excited to kick off baseball season. How you feeling?
I was just telling him I've got to watch a little bit of JUCO so far. A friend of my show is a head coach at Rome State Community College up in East Tennessee. They had their first winning season in over 20 years last year, and they've started the year 6-0 so far this year.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
So they're off to a great start.
That's pretty cool, man. This is the best time of year, man. I don't know. I mean, for you, it's been rainy up there. For me, it is sunny down here. And I know the Hawks, we actually play down here this week. So I wish I could make it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to this one. But next week, I am going to the games, which is going to be pretty sweet. But, man, we've been talking about this for a while, man. So I'm excited to get this ball rolling. And we have two guests tonight to start this thing off. Mr. Andy Nelson. I'm
ready to do some interviews.
Yeah, so am I, man. So they'll be on at 7:15. But yeah, guys, for those of you who don't know Chris, I know he's been on a few times with us. Chris, give them a little bit about you. Obviously, some of them know you as VandyChris, so if they're wondering who Vandy is, this is this guy right here.
So I was born and raised a Hawkeye. I grew up in southwest Iowa. Some of you may know the town. A little bit north of Omaha, a little bit west of Des Moines, a little bit south of Sioux City, a place called Denison. The mighty, mighty Monarchs. So grew up, did my time there. As a sophomore in high school, I actually transferred to Manila. Was part of the last graduating class at Manila High School before they joined with Erwin Kirkman and became IKM.
Smelly town. Thanks, Jason.
So graduated high school, joined the Marine Corps, did my time there, got out. While I was in, my mother and stepfather had moved to southern Middle Tennessee, which is where he was originally from. So when I got out, I just moved in with them. That's how I got transplanted to Tennessee. Have moved back a couple times to Iowa. Iowa's home. That's where the heart is. But in the process, I became a Vanderbilt fan. I adopted the Commodores. No connection whatsoever. Adopted them in 1990 as my team. But I still stay connected to Iowa and the Iowa athletics program. Matter of fact, Jan Jensen was somebody that I used to watch play in high school back in her days at Elkhorn Kimballton High School when she was putting up 46 points a game. So I'm connected to Iowa in various ways.
I love it, man. Well, sweet. Well, guess what? Our guests are here. So should we just send this damn thing?
Send it.
Let's do it. All right, Hawks. Without further ado, I'm welcoming Bryson Walker and Mr. Andy Nelson to the stage with us. Gentlemen, how you feeling tonight?
Good. How are you?
We're doing wonderful. We're excited to have you guys on. How's the weather up there?
It's awesome for me since I've never really seen snow before being from Texas. So I'm like, everyone walking around, they're like, oh, snow. And I'm kicking the snow, running around in it. Everyone's like, God, you're like a kid in the candy store right now.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Chris had a question for you. Chris, you might as well ask him now.
Okay. You're breaking my cycle here, but I'll go ahead and ask this. So it's February. In Iowa, in February, undoubtedly, you're going to get snow. Now, I have to ask, since you got snow last night and it's been there today, you might have got some earlier in the week, I'm not sure. But has Coach Heller let you go out and play some snow baseball, or is he keeping you held hostage indoors?
They're keeping us held hostage. I had to go out there today with no one out there. I went to the baseball field. I'm running around doing snow angels on the pitching mound. I'm like, let's go throw some snowballs. Like, we're baseball players. Let's go throw something.
Right.
And I think the biggest issue with snow is not many people up here know. So trucks, I drive a Silverado. Trucks in Texas, not all of them are four-wheel drive. It's 10 grand more to get a four-wheel drive truck in Texas. So I drive a two-wheel drive rear wheel.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, oh, I'll be fine driving in the snow. The first time I drove it, and I was like, okay, never mind.
The first thing he asked me when we were driving in snow, I was with him the first time, and he goes, so how much do you slide in the snow? Like, is it like ice, or, he's just the first timer. And the other thing I noticed with guys who aren't from the Midwest is they just have a thing for just making snowballs. They just love it.
Well, okay, let me stop him there, though. So I asked him, we were driving back, we were coyote hunting, and it starts snowing. And I'm like, okay, this is my first time driving in snow. What do I do? Like, do I need to hit the brakes or whatever? He goes, no, it's a fun slide. And I look at him, I'm like, what do you mean a fun slide? I'm driving a vehicle right now. Any sliding's not fun. He's like, no, trust me, you'll know. It's fun. And I'm like, no, there's no way it could be fun.
So just wait until it gets cold enough where all the lakes freeze over.
Mm-hmm.
They take you in the car or out on top of the frozen lake.
Nope. I got top 3 fear of mine is falling in the ice. You can tell me that ice is 12 feet thick and I will not step any foot on it.
You don't do ice fishing then?
No.
I love ice fishing. I'm a big ice fisherman.
You need to take him ice fishing then.
I think it ruins the sport. You're just sitting there doing nothing. Like, go out, get a boat, flip some, go travel a lake. Like, you're sitting by a hole. I just don't see the fun in that.
It's something, ice fishing, something that you don't really understand it and understand how fun it is until you really do it. And you start catching them one after the other. But that's another topic for another time, probably.
Man, you're going to have to go ice fishing, man. Andy, you're going to have to take him, dude. You just got to make him go out there. Just tell him you're going somewhere else, and then all of a sudden drive on the ice. You won't know. What else is he going to do?
I'd get him to come. Just probably take a little convincing.
You talk about fishing. Have you caught any of them monster Iowa walleyes yet?
No, I've
Man,
I actually haven't gone fishing, so I spent most of the fall duck hunting. But I mean, nothing beats a good Texas bass. Like, Texas is known. We got the share lunker program in Texas where we have 10, 15-pound bass. And I'm like, yeah, walleyes there, but once again, got to get me on the ice. Can't do that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick my fishing skills back where it's sunny and 75 in December in Texas, where I don't got to deal with freezing my hands and freezing the line. And just worry about that down there.
I got to ask, where are these big walleye at? Because I've caught the small ones. I'm still searching for the big ones.
Go over around Lakeview and Wall Lake in that area. That's where the big ones are at.
All right.
Take that to the bank, man.
Right. You can take that to the bank right there.
I'm going to come back and collect that check, Chris, if he catches and it's all those small ones.
Right.
Steering him the wrong way, man. Well, cool, guys. We're happy to have you guys. This is actually the first show, and I don't know, man. I've been trying to find them, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be, and we are the first to cover Iowa baseball. So we appreciate having you guys on. So this is a cool moment for myself, and I know Chris. And Brandon can't be here. He has a family event today, so normally there'd be 3 of us here. So not quite the Brady bunch here, just us 4, which would be cool. But
appreciate you asking us to be on it, and looking forward to talking a little baseball or hunting or whatever. So,
well, you've already told us a little bit about yourself. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit more about yourselves? Obviously, you're from Texas, Bryson, and then Andy, you're from Illinois. If you want to just let Iowa Nation hear a little bit about you guys, and then we can dive into some baseball questions if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah. So this is actually my 5th year at Iowa. Came here out of high school from a town called Winfield, Illinois, right by Wheaton, just the western suburb of Chicago. Grew up, playing baseball, obviously, football, running track, playing golf, doing, fishing, hunting with my dad. And then I guess just kind of made my way out to Iowa with all the hunting and the outdoors that are out here, as well as just the program kind of drew me in. And yeah, I mean, I just so glad that I just decided to come, to Iowa, and my time here has been great. No second thoughts about it. So
we're glad you decided to come here. Now you say that, so I got to ask you, who else did you have offers from? Just out of curiosity.
Iowa was actually my only offer. So they offered me, and like the next day I was like, yep, I'm taking it, because Iowa was always my dream school. I always wanted to come here. And cool. I think that goes back to, I grew up ever since I was 3 years old. Me and my dad, he'd take me out hunting on the Mississippi River. He'd always point over to the Iowa side to be like, that's Iowa over there, the bluffs in Iowa.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was this magnificent land, looked beautiful, outdoors.
It is
just what I loved.
Call it God's country, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, very cool, dude. 5th year. We're excited, man. You had a hell of a year last year. At least towards the end, you really came alive, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes this year for you, my man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I guess, another year, but another opportunity to, see what the Hawks can do. And I know last year we kind of fell quite a bit short of what our goals were and what we could have probably done. So kind of reset and have a different kind of mindset going into this year, which is basically just take it day by day, pitch by pitch, and see what can happen with it. So
very nice. And Bryson, how are you, the Texas boy?
So born and raised Houston, Texas. This is my 5th year, so I spent the last few years at University of Houston, and so I ended up not playing this spring. I was dealing with some injuries and stuff. And our pitching coach at Houston, Sean Kinney, ended up leaving Houston after this year. And I felt that my time at Houston was coming to an end. I wanted kind of a fresh start. I was going to go into some grad programs, and I decided to hit the portal, and ended up, Coach Kinney called me and said, hey, I'm going to Iowa. And the structure behind him, we worked every single day, even though I wasn't playing. There was always a plan. I loved him as a pitching coach. I went from a coach that was an old timer, really hard on us, and kind of took the fun out of baseball prior to Kenny. And then Kenny comes in and makes it enjoyable, makes it a game again. And so that was something I couldn't put aside. And so he called me. He was like, hey, I'm going to go to Iowa. It's going to be, I'm actually kind of mad at him now. He goes, it's going to be a little colder than what you expected. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll come with. He didn't tell me it was going to be this cold. I've never seen negatives before.
Oh, you got to get worse.
Oh, yeah. And so, I mean, Kenny's a great coach. Just overall structure, the developmental side of things. And it was something I wanted to follow up to Iowa. Honestly, I told him, I was like, I'll follow you anywhere. Let's go play ball. And I knew that wherever I was going with him, we would have a structurally sound pitching staff that knew what they were doing, whether that be with a bunch of young guys, old guys, or whatever. I knew that pitching staff was going to be strong and that we would win a lot of baseball games. And so now I'm here in the Midwest, and I love it.
That's awesome, man. I mean, okay. Go ahead.
So just being honest with you, as somebody that grew up in Iowa, live in southern middle Tennessee now, 35 degrees in Texas or Tennessee does not feel like 35 degrees in Iowa. 35 degrees in Iowa is warm. That 35 degrees in Tennessee and Texas is cold.
That was the crazy thing. I think like right before we went home for break, it went up to like 40. I walked outside and I was like, I can throw on a short sleeve shirt. I'm like looking at the weather. I'm like, back home, I'm in a Carhartt and jeans.
Yes.
It's a weird, that humidity, but I think the humidity is comparable to the wind up here. I learned the phrase that it's not bad without the wind. That phrase that everyone says up here. The wind's something different, but
it's true, isn't it?
oh no, it's true. All bundled up without the wind, fine.
Here's my go-to. I would rather have 0 degrees and no wind than 10 degrees with the 10-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yep. Just finally got some snow. Yeah, you did. Well, that's cool, man. Well, we're glad you chose Iowa, I guess. I mean, did you know a lot about Iowa and the pitching, kind of the, I guess, success Iowa's had over the last, I would say, I mean, especially the last 5 years? Basically, the entire time Andy's been there has been really strong. Did you know about that before you committed, or were you just kind of
I had zero idea. Honestly, like, this is going to sound really embarrassing. So Texas public education, we don't learn a lot about other states. We learn a lot about Texas and the government. When I got here, I could not point out Iowa on a map. It took me 4 tries. They were like, okay, we're going to put up a map with no names on it. And I'm like, And I'm like, all we learned about is Texas. Like, there's a bunch of stuff. We had our own wars. Like, there's no Iowa war. There's a Texas war.
Yeah, we didn't do much.
Yeah, everyone's like, dude, you don't know where Iowa is. I was like, yeah, I'm going to refresh my brain on that. Jeopardy, I would be terrible. I would lose 100% on geography.
I mean, I'm not surprised. It is Texas, so you're not catching me off guard. But it's just funny when you hear people say that, because I have heard other people say that there's so much that's gone on in Texas that is what they learn about. It's Texas.
We spent more time on Texas history than we did on like U.S. history. Like the Alamo is a huge thing for us. Like the Alamos, we probably spent a year in total learning about the Alamo, and like nothing happened there. Like there was no like significant thing that happened at the Alamo. Everyone died. Like they got destroyed by the Spanish army. And it's like, we got to learn about that. That's the thing we're going to learn about. But
oh man, that's wild, man. That's awesome. Hold on one second. Sorry.
So you're from Texas, right? You've had Texas barbecue.
Oh, don't
now,
get started.
Well, I'm going to go a different route. Yeah. Okay. Me and Brad are coming over to your house for supper. What's on the menu, and are you cooking it?
Oh, 100%. So we're going to go basic. We smoke brisket, smoked sausage, and a drunken chicken. That's like the main 3 things. Maybe throwing some cornbread in there. But like, I mean, you'll be full off the brisket. And like we smoking a brisket is like an event for us. Like we'll be like, hey, we're going to smoke a brisket tonight. Everyone comes over. We're all sitting by the fire for 14 hours. And I'm like, it's the best thing ever. Now, the first place I went to eat here was Jethro's. And love Jethro's, love it. Great food, phenomenal. But I've learned there's a big difference between Jethro's barbecue and Texas barbecue. And so I go there to get Jethro's, and I ordered smoked sausage. And I guess Iowa smoked sausage is a bit different. They brought out a hot dog, basically. And I'm like, whoa, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
I didn't order
That's not smoked sausage.
Oh, yeah.
He's forgetting about all the mallards we shot this past year, and the deer he shot, too. Probably have that on the grill. Or I guess if you're coming over to my place, that's probably what I got. So.
He's the mallards that I missed that he shot.
Okay.
It's a big-ass deer up here, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, I ended up – so deer in Texas, the does don't get above 100 pounds. Like a good doe in Texas is 100 pounds. So I ended up buying a deer tag because I got my in-state residency being a student. And we went to one of the guys on the team, Caleb Wolf. He's got a bunch of property where he can deer hunt. Now, deer hunting up here compared to Texas, I'll be the first to admit, deer hunting in Texas, not real hunting. We sit in a nice heated blind and we have a feeder out there and just wait for them to come eat dinner. So here, it's cheating. It's cheating, but guess what? You ain't cheating. It's fine. Like, it's easy, all right? And so here I had to learn that there's no such thing as deer feeders. You can't bait them. So he's like, yeah, we're going to walk around the woods and then try to walk up on a deer and shoot it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. We're not going to see anything. And so we end up walking, and I see this doe, and I'm like, my Texas vision is on, and I'm like, that's a good doe. Like, I'm going to take a shot. So it comes out in the field. I shoot it, and Caleb is about 15 yards in front of me. And he walks up to it first, and he looks at me and goes, you shot Bambi. And I was like, what do you mean I shot Bambi? That doe's 110 pounds. And I walk up to the thing. I'm like, oh, my God. I shot Bambi. That deer started walking 8 months ago. And it was like, yeah, the does up here get way bigger than you expect. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, the moral, granted, it is really tender, tastes great, but just the morality of it is just
shot Bambi. That's all you need to say.
That's all you got to say right there. I shot Bambi.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is,
Andy, didn't you teach him any different?
I tried, but he's just too far gone.
He didn't teach me that. He didn't teach me, hey, if you see a doe, make sure it's absolutely massive.
There you go. You
shut the spots off, right?
So thankfully, that was the first thing I looked at. I said, please don't have spots. Please don't have spots.
That's awesome. Dude, so I live in Florida, and the first time my dad came down and saw a Florida deer, he's like, oh, what's that on the side of the road? It's like the size of my dog. Yeah. I'm like, that's the deer. And the crazy thing is, and they just sit by the side of the road. They don't cross the road. They have no interest in going across the road. I've never seen a deer dead on the interstates here in Florida, but I just see, like, you'll go down the road and there'll be like 15 of them just sitting there eating and grazing in the ditch. And they're all about, I don't know, they look like they're like 70 pounds. Like they're just like a big old dog. And I'm like, no, those are the deer, Dad. And he's like, no way. And he's like trying to look back at them. And I'm like, dude,
yeah,
it's crazy, man. And then you go to Iowa and it's like you're terrified at night to drive sometimes because you're like,
yeah,
this 150, 200-pound thing's going to come running through my windshield if I don't pay attention. Like, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, sweet tea or unsweet tea?
Oh, sweet tea all the way. God, as soon as I cross state lines, when I go back home, the first thing I do, stop at Buc-ee's and get sweet tea.
There you go. Iowa has no idea what sweet tea is.
No. And it's blasphemy. I like go to the gas station and I'm like, this isn't sweet tea. This is just homemade brew tea with a little bit of sugar.
And even in a restaurant, you order sweet tea and it's like, we don't have sweet tea. And they bring you regular tea and say the tea's on the table or the sugar's on the table. No, that's not sweet tea, man.
They would be so much more happy up here. They would deal with the snow if they had sweet tea. Like, hate to say it to the Iowans, you don't know what you're missing out.
Yeah.
See, I moved to Florida and that was like a big thing. And I was like, sweet tea? And they're like, yeah. And then I see how they make it. And it's like 3 pounds of sugar in there. And I'm like,
it's the best thing ever. Yeah.
You mean diabetes tea? Like, what do you got going on here? And I was like, I've never tried it. I will not try it. I don't know, man. It's something about it. But my son loves it and like is obsessed with it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you sweet tea.
Yeah.
But the right way to make it is you boil the tea, you put it in the thing, you add your cold water, you add cold water to the tea bags that have already been cooked. You get a little bit more sweet flavoring out of it. Put it in there. 2 cups of sugar.
Yep.
That's your perfect sweet tea.
Man.
You turn a blind eye on how much sugar is in there. The way I look at it, I'm like, well, a Coke has just as much sugar in it. Like,
yeah.
At least I'm drinking tea. A little bit healthier.
You feel better about yourself a little bit. All right, Chris, you done making everybody hungry, thirsty?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I got my picture right here of the Mountain Dew bottle.
Oh, that's something I had to get used to. Is like the first week I come to Iowa, my roommates, they probably went through 30 things of Mountain Dew. And I go, is Mountain Dew like the national drink of Iowa?
Busch Light is actually.
Busch Light.
That's postseason drink. That's
comes later heard. We ain't telling nobody. That's awesome. So, how's practice been going, gentlemen? Pretty good. I know media day was yesterday, and I know you already touched on it a little bit about last year, Andy. Coach said something about you guys are playing with a little chip on your shoulder. Is that kind of one of the background motivation you got going this season?
For sure. I mean, seems like just every year, every team that kind of we have in Iowa baseball since I've been here has had, felt like, we've been an underdog a little bit. And yeah, I mean, this year specifically, there's definitely just a different kind of vibe with the team. Like, it's more like, I want to call it like grittiness, maybe just wanting to just get out there and just play and just like really just see what happens. And I think if this team, and I was talking to Coach about this the other day, but if we can stay like steady, right, kind of center line, never get too high, never get too low, just stay steady and pick up steam as we go throughout the year and let it climb. There's really no telling what this team can do, and that's any team in general,
Right.
But for sure, I mean, just the guys we have on our team this year, just a bunch of great guys. And this year specifically, we started doing more like Bible studies as a team, kind of coming closer with Jesus, and
Nice.
good Lord. And that's going to be something that's big for our team as well. So just having all that.
That's awesome. A lot of new faces too. Right? How many new bodies do you guys have this year?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, like over like half the team is new. Maybe even a little more than that.
Yeah, I'd say
3/4.
Yeah, 3/4.
And yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of new good pitchers. We got a bunch of new good position players. Like we only have 4 returning starting, position players, but the guys that we got coming in that are ready to play and they're in, great tip-top shape. It's going to be interesting and fun to see what these guys can do, play alongside of them. So
yeah, and as an outsider coming in, like I can see that the guys that stayed, like they have a chip on their shoulder, and the new guys come in and they want to earn that starting spot, and they're like, okay, I got to beat out a guy that has a chip on their shoulder that's mad about last season. So like me coming into the program, it's like, well, okay, they want to win, and that trickles down the slot. It's like, okay, well, I'm fighting for that spot to win. And I was out a lot of the fall with an elbow injury that thankfully healed. We got it all good. But like I kind of got to watch from an outside perspective because I wasn't worried about like going into scrimmages, and like these guys are competing their tails off. And it's like you got an older guy returning starter that's playing with a chip on the shoulder, and that trickles down to the freshmen. They want to fight, they want to win, and like looking forward for the program, it's like then that freshman becomes a sophomore. Even if he's not playing this year, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder too. And that's something that like I feel confident about the team. It's like I've been at a good program before this that was let down a lot. We never play with a chip on our shoulder. And then you come into here and it's like everyone wants to win. And I think that's the biggest difference from Iowa to Houston. It's like Houston, well known, they made a few regionals, and it's like so much healthier for me to see and be a part of a team that wants to win, that has that drive. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be something really special this year.
I like that, man. I couldn't agree more. I mean, Andy already touched on it. I mean, since I've been watching Iowa baseball, which has been, I think I started sometime around 2010-ish. He's already hit on it. That is what makes Iowa baseball and Heller ball one of the things that it is that chip on the shoulder. And a lot of people are surprised at how good Iowa is as a program. Did you guys know that Iowa has the best average finish in the Big Ten since 2020? Between all the teams, you guys average a finish of third place?
I did not.
Ahead of Maryland, ahead of Nebraska. Like the program, like a lot of people don't realize, but it's built off of that chip off the shoulder. A bunch of guys talented dudes that just don't get the fair shake that they do. And I think now it's finally coming to fruition and people are taking notes. I mean, Chris is a Vanderbilt guy. And I mean, if he could give you an outsider's perspective of what like people in the SEC country think of Iowa baseball. And I'm going to tell you, it's pretty high, to be honest with you. Like they respect the pitching and they respect the coach Heller and just the way he runs that program. So, I mean, I'm excited, man. And hearing you guys say that gets me pumped up, man. So I'm jacked for it. I don't know.
Right. So I wanted to ask Andy. So you had 9 home runs last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had 7 doubles. So let me ask you your approach at the plate. Do you prefer the longer swing path that generates more of a flat hit, or do you prefer the launch angle approach where you can get some lift on the ball?
So I guess when it comes to kind of a question like this, you got to look at who the hitter is and kind of how their swing is, because there's differences in it all. Like last year, Sam Peterson is a guy who his hardest hit balls are greater than 20 degrees launch angle. So he's has more of a launch angle, you know? So for me, my hard hit balls that I hit the hardest are going to be probably 10 to 15. So it's a little lower. And that's basically just, I guess my swing path through the zone is going to create more of that launch to get my peak exit velo or peak power. So it's really just about embracing, I guess, who you are as a hitter. And for me, that's what it is. It's, not trying to really hit home runs or lift the ball, but trying to just drive through it, stay short through it, and drive through it. And if I catch it right, it's going to, be a line drive in the gap or over the fence. So
that's a great answer, actually. And you're right. It's got to be up to the hitter what's more natural to them. So, yeah, that's a perfect answer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you credit your strong finish last year, Andy? Sorry. What do you credit that? I know the beginning of the year wasn't, but towards the end of the year, man, I just remember you were cranking them out. That's when the majority of your home runs came. What do you credit that? Were you dealing with an injury, or was it just it all kind of came together? And
for me, I think it's consistency of at bats over time. We do these S2 tests, and it looks at our strengths and our weaknesses, just as people in general and how we go about different things in life. And one of my top things was being able to, I guess, learn from like a mistake I made, or like in-game learning type deal. So like for me, it's just like the more at bats that I get consistently, then the more probably I learn from it and make adjustments. But there's a whole bunch of different categories. I can't really name them, but yeah, no, it's I do S2 testing stuff, and then I would say just dealing with injuries and maturing as a person, and with my mindset and with your mind. Yeah, just mindset, and also being under the wing of just great coaches. Marty's one of the best in college baseball when it comes to dominating the zone, and I guess learning the strike zone. College baseball, everybody wants to get you to chase pitches and swing at stuff out of the zone. So being able to hold the zone 1 through 9 is going to make us just, I guess, frustrate a pitcher that's trying to, make us chase or whatever, and just wear them out over the course of a game. So that's a huge part of it as well.
So I know we already touched on it a little bit. A lot of new faces. So you guys returned 40, I think it was 41.5% of your hits from last season. So who are some of the faces, just from what you've seen so far, of who you think is going to step up and kind of bring some of those bats to life? Obviously, you lead the team in your hitting percentage last year, and top returning guy as well. So who do you think so far that you've seen is somebody that we should keep a watch on as far as when it comes to?
Well, there's obviously, you got Gable Mitchell, who's coming back this year after a solid season last year. You got Reese Moore, who's also had a great year last year, coming back. We got Dan Rogers, who's actually a transfer from Loris.
Loris.
Yeah, he played 4 years Division III, and he's a great hitter. I think if there's somebody that you want to watch out for, probably Dan Rogers.
He hit like 400 and something last year. Is that what
410?
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. Yeah, I saw that, and I mean, that's cool. That's awesome. Man, I'm excited to see him. He was one of them. So we posted something earlier this year about top incoming guys on the bats, and he was obviously the top one. And I remember, and I'm like, damn, man, that guy's hitting 400, and it was high. It was high up. I'm pretty sure. I don't have to look, but it's impressive numbers. So that's cool.
So Bryson, of course, I'm a Vanderbilt fan, but I grew up in Iowa. I'm connected to the Iowa program through my history. You got to see Houston play Vanderbilt last year.
Yeah.
In games like that, is there anything that you can pick up on that a team like Vanderbilt does that you can use personally and take forward with you to aid your development?
Oh, 100%. So teams like Vanderbilt, I got a great saying where a good team makes the good plays and a great team makes the routine plays. So you face a team like Vanderbilt, they are going to play the fundamentals perfectly every single time. They are going to pitch. They're going to attack the zone. They're going to field every single ground ball that they can field. And with that comes a good spectacular plays. A lot of average teams, they focus on making these spectacular plays, but then they boot a ground ball between their legs. And looking at a team like that, any SEC team, ACC, Big Ten, those great teams, the teams that make it to the College World Series, they make every single fundamental play. They pitch fundamentally. And so that's something you can look at, because I think we lost by we played a really good game against Vanderbilt. It was like 2-4. And we're like, well, we felt like we were in it with them. And we look back, we made all the routine plays. And so seeing how teams like that simplify the game, where they're going to be great at everything fundamentally and not focus on the big stuff, hit doubles, fill up the zone, is something that I can bring where I'm like, okay, I don't have to be any other pitcher than myself. If I go out there, dominate the zone, I don't try to make all these super nasty pitches, because the more you try on a pitch, the worse it is. Like, you don't have to be anything special. Go out there, sit back on your training, because we do the fundamentals every single day. And that's all you have to do to win ball games. That's all you have to do to be great. Focus on what's basic and what baseball is, instead of focusing on something that is outside of your control, something spectacular, something that you're not.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I got one for you. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, Andy, you grew up in Illinois, right?
Yes, sir.
You talked about how your dad would take you fishing and everything, and you'd look at it. You talked about a little bit of the recruitment process, and Iowa was the only school that had offered you. Had Iowa not offered you, would you have still gone to Iowa and tried to walk on with the baseball team, or did you have other plans?
I probably would have. I would have waited to see what other schools would have offered me, because at the end of the day, I mean, the hunting and the fishing's fun and everything, but baseball's number one. Comes first, and so yeah, it was just always a dream of mine to play Division I baseball, and then hopefully, potentially, the opportunity arises professionally. But yeah, so just Iowa, I guess so.
Okay.
I love it, man. So I got a question for you, Bryson. You already hit on it. Houston and Iowa. What are some of the similarities that you would say between those two programs?
I would say just the competition level. So you're going to bring in great players to both places. And it's like, we have a bunch of talent. We always have that on both sides. It's a matter of using that talent wisely. Like last year, our pitching staff at Houston, stuff-wise, was the best I've ever seen. I mean, everyone threw 95. Everyone had wipeout sliders and stuff. And same here. Our pitching staff here is nuts. But those are similarities. But the big differences are, like, guys at Houston last year, our biggest problem was we knew how to throw nasty stuff, like really good stuff. We know how to pitch. I got a saying, 100 miles an hour gets hit if it's thrown right down the middle.
Yep.
And so it's a matter of taking everything that we have, the stuff, the grittiness, and still being able to pitch. I mean, you see guys dominate throwing 85 miles an hour.
Yep.
Kyle Hendricks, he was with the Cubs for a while, one of the best pitchers the Cubs have ever had. He threw 88. He just knew how to pitch. And that's something that I like here, the structure. We have this thing called the Hawk Challenge. So it's for our pitchers. It's something we kind of started at Houston towards the end. We brought it here. So every time we throw off the mound, we're competing against each other. So we have two guys going. One person calls a pitch. They got to execute it. Next guy does it. And whoever executes it better gets the point. And we have this whole system. It's a whole bracket. It's like a tournament. And so that creates us. Like, yeah, we can throw nasty stuff, but we still have to execute a pitch. And so every time we step on a mound, we are throwing flat grounds, we're competing. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, there's no touch and feel stuff. It's when we step on the slope, we're going to compete. And that gets ingrained in our head. So we go out into the game, we're like, okay, we've been competing for the past 7 months. This is nothing new.
I love that, man. That's awesome, man. I know Kenny had some praises for you guys yesterday in the media. He said this is one of the most talented groups that he's coached. And that says a lot coming from a guy that's been a pitching coach at Georgia, an SEC school, and then spent a lot of time at Houston. So that's awesome, man. So I got to ask, he already mentioned it. He said that Cade is pitching lights out. How lights out has he been pitching lately? I got to know. We all want to know.
Cade is I've been in college baseball for 5 years, and a bunch of really, really good guys that are going to play in the bigs. Cade is by far the nastiest pitcher I've seen. And it's partly due, like, if you were to see him at like Hy-Vee or something, you would say that guy does nothing.
Yep.
He rolls up on the mound and throws 98 with sink and then a wipeout slider.
Yeah. And
it's stuff. He commands his own extremely well. He's got really good stuff. And the pitchability, especially coming from his dad, Wes, who, like, I almost talk to him every single day, because the insight of pitching, like just learning the ins and outs, especially from a guy that's been there and done that. Yep. Like, he's grown up with that. He knows how to pitch. He knows the system. He knows what to do. And, like, you can see that on the mound. You can see him having the resource to come home every day. Dad, how'd you feel this? What was your mental approach when you didn't have your fastball? Stuff like that. And then he gets up on the mound and he just makes hitters look terrible. Like, I'm sitting there like, okay, how do I make a hitter look like that?
You're not wrong when you say if you saw him at Hy-Vee, you'd never know, because he doesn't have the pitching size either that you're accustomed to.
Nothing.
You go from him, and then you got the guy at Michigan State who is 6'8". Yeah, and it's like it's polar opposites, but that guy can deal, man. I mean, I'm glad he came back. I'm glad he didn't commit with the Rangers, so I'm excited to see him, and that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's really awesome. What you got, Chris?
So I'm going to ask you both the same questions separately, but a little bit different. I'm going to start with Bryson. So, Bryson, you take the mound, first inning, you give up 4 home runs, walk 6 batters, and you just ain't got it, and you're out of the game quick. You're on the bus ride home. It's 1:30 in the morning. It's dark. You're ready to quit. Who's the one person in your phone that you're going to call that's going to get your mind back right?
Honestly, this is going to be a hot take. A lot of the time, trust me, and I've been there, where I've given up. I've forgotten how to play baseball for a game. A lot of the time, I don't really talk to other people. I focus on myself, because I was the one that was there, the one that did it. And honestly, the only one that can fix it. And so I've spent 5 years of college baseball developing the mental side, like having a good mental approach. And one of the great things about baseball is each game is different. Each inning is different. Each pitch is different. So you can look back on that, and we have a saying where it's the 80-10-10 rule. So 80% of the time, pitchers are going to be all right. Like, they're not going to be great. They're not going to be terrible. They're going to be all right. 10% of the time, you're going to be phenomenal. Have every single one of your pitches, and you're going to dominate. Then 10% of the time, you're just going to play terribly. And that's something you can't control. I mean, the greatest athletes ever, Tom Brady. Look at Patrick Mahomes this past weekend. I know we probably have a lot of Chiefs fans. Like he was not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was not his performance. Like we all know that he's one of, if not the best quarterback in the league. He had a bad game, and that's not something that we can call someone and it magically fixes. That's something we got to look internally and say, okay, let's figure out the stuff that we did wrong and fix it. And our whole thing is like we have these binders that we go through every single day talking about things like our wins for the day, learns. We don't have losses. We, as pitching and probably the hitters too, we never lose. It's either we win or we learn. So in hindsight, like a bad game is going to, for a few hours, it's going to be bad. But my rule is as soon as the jersey comes off, I have to figure out what I can do to learn from that. So let's say I give up 4 home runs. Like, okay, well, every single one was a center cut fastball. Easy solution. Don't throw it there. So I know using that outing, because we have to have bad outings. We have to face adversity. That's the only way to get better.
Yep.
If we never face adversity, we're never going to say, okay, I need to pitch to the outer half of the plate. I can just start down the middle every time. I'll be fine. That's not how college baseball works. That's not how life works. So you have to face a little adversity. You have to learn from it. And you have to be able to dig in deep and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do next time. This is my plan to be better. And that's the great thing about baseball. We have pretty much, I hope, 62, 63 games for the World Series. Like we have so many games to sit back and learn from to keep building learns till we look at the end of the season, we're in Omaha.
That would be something, man. I don't think if Iowa makes it to Omaha, man, that's going to be a black and gold rush out west, man. It'd be something.
I'm coming north.
Oh, I am too, man. I'm going to hop that plane real quick. That's going to be that would be crazy.
Yeah. And same question to you, Andy. You go through the game, you're 0 for 6, you got 5 strikeouts, caught stealing, just a terrible game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one person you're going to call?
So I just want to start by saying this is a really good question because it makes you think, and I mean people are probably interested in hearing kind of, I guess, what a college athlete who deals with failure would go about it. And I think Bryson really just, hit it square on the head. Like baseball is a failing game. So it's at this point, in our careers, it's never like that you really suck or you've like really truly failed. It's just you're learning from it. And it's just changing your perspective to that and realizing that you're going to deal with a lot of failure. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons that I enjoy baseball. It's because it's more of a mental challenge than anything. And you kind of got to be a stoic to be a really good baseball player. But I guess to really answer your question, the one person I would call, I guess I wouldn't call a person, but I'd pick up a Bible and any verse that says "Do not fear" and you read it, that's gonna help you as a baseball player because fear is the number one killer for I guess all sports and limiting yourself to reach your potential. So I'd probably pick up a Bible or say some prayers.
I love that.
Great answers from both of you.
I don't even know how to ask a question after those answers, man. Damn, dude. Those are great. You guys hit it on the nose, man. I play baseball, and I can tell you the mental thing. I was a terrible hitter, and that was the reason I stopped playing in 8th grade because I couldn't hit the ball. I just didn't. And now looking back at it, I'm like, damn, why did I quit? Like, come on, man. But you're dead on with that, man. That's awesome. All right, Chris, you got anything else for these boys? We don't want to keep them. You guys got to try. What time you guys leave tomorrow?
We got to be there at 5, the lot to leave. It's 5 a.m.
Man, we definitely don't want to keep you. You excited to get down to the warmth? It's warm here. It was 81 today.
I've been looking every single day. You got to remember, hold on. Let's see what it is back home. So back home, the high was 73. So I'm still used to the whole sunny and 75, get to go out. Like my parents sent me a video the other day. They're in the pool eating crawfish. I'm like, don't send me that, please. It's just gonna. Thankfully, we get to go back to Texas in like 3 weeks. So
They don't eat crawfish in Iowa, do they?
No, I've yet to find me a crawfish place up here.
Well, you guys will get here, and it's going to be 87 degrees, so you're going to enjoy that.
Oh yeah.
84, 87, and 83 for the game, so it's going to be awesome. I wish I could make it over there this weekend. I'm actually going to drive down to next weekend's game, so I'll be at the Friday and Saturday game. So maybe I'll try to see you guys and come meet you guys in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, come say hi.
It's only about an hour away from me. It's not a bad drive. I live straight up 95 in St. Augustine, so it's a good time.
Yeah.
Chris, you got anything for the boys?
Just one last question. I'm surprised you haven't asked it, Brad, but we all like to find out your personal stories and things like that. We all have idols when we're growing up. For you, Bryson, as a pitcher, for you, Andy, as a hitter, who do you try and pattern your game after? I know you want to have your own individual game, but who is the one that you glean the most from trying to learn this game of baseball?
Does it have to be like a professional baseball player? Or?
Anybody you want.
Okay. I would say, I mean, just the classic answer, both your mom and your dad. So, I mean, my mom, I always watched her every day. She would work like so hard just with what she does for a living. And I told her one day, just watching you do your work every day makes me want to just do that in a different way for baseball. And then my dad, because I guess he always played baseball. He always wanted to play, professionally, think that he might have had a chance and never got the opportunities. So kind of just playing for myself, but also playing, for him is I guess what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. And so growing up for me, I was never on like the like super cool sports teams and stuff like that. So my dad was actually my coach growing up all the way basically to high school. And he coached the team of every kid who didn't make like the travel ball teams. So we sucked. We were terrible. But the whole goal was, so we'd watch practices. We get the back end of like the field before lights shut off. And all these coaches are screaming at 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And like, that's when a lot of players quit because they lose the love for the game. And that was one thing that my dad never did. He never screamed, we always made practice fun. Like I remember growing up, our hitting practices when we were young, we would hit piñatas. We would play games. We played a game called baseball lacrosse where it was like a mix between ultimate frisbee and baseball. And that was the biggest thing for me growing up. It's I was never on the team that made me lose my love for the game. My dad always coached the team. He always made it fun and made it a game. Like he says, one of the biggest things that I still hold with me today, the first word said at every baseball game is play. It's a game. We go out there and we get to play. And that's something I think a lot of people lose sight of. They get so wrapped up in the emotions of the sport, the pressure and stuff. At the end of the day, it's a game. Like, let's go out and play. Let's go out and have fun. If we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong. And so I really patterned like how I played the game after that. Like, I'm not going to go out there all tense up like, if I don't do this, it's the end of the world. No. That's where you start to lose sight of what baseball really is. It's a game. It's a game we all love, and it's a game that we have to enjoy.
I love it, man.
Great answers. I love that.
Well, gentlemen, we won't keep you. You guys got to get up nice and early to get that flight down to sunny Florida. But again, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure having both of you guys. Stand-up dudes. Good luck, obviously, this weekend. Time to take down South Florida, man. Those Bulls don't stand a chance, right? Yeah, man. And good luck, safe travels, and thanks again, guys. Go Hawks, all right?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you.
All right, what do you say? We take a quick break, eh?
Sounds good to me.
I'll make it a short one. I don't think we have very many long ones on this bad boy, but we'll take a moment. We'll just take a quick 45-second break. Shout out to the Villains Network. for hosting us, having us, Andrew and the crew. Thanks again, and tune into any of their shows. And Chris will tell you more about how he's on the network now, too, when we come back. Well, I need to get the new ad, obviously, because you're not on there. So you joined the party now, too, haven't you? You a villain now, too?
Yes, sir. So I'm on another podcast. It's called the Golden Broom Podcast. And let me tell you how that was born. Okay. 12 years ago, I started a Facebook group. It's called College Baseball Smack. You like talking college baseball? Come join us. We'd love to have you, especially if you're the follower of a mid-major or a JUCO college. Iowa's got tons of JUCOs. I know there's baseball fans in Iowa that watch JUCO. Come join our baseball group. We'd love to have you. But in our baseball group, we decided early on, me and a couple of the guys that started it, that we were going to give out an award that we would call the Golden Broom Award. And it goes to a team that goes undefeated for a week and does something noteworthy. For instance, in 2020, Boise State hadn't had a team in over 10 years. They got the funding together, restarted their baseball program. Their first weekend out, they go 4-0.
Yep.
So we gave them a Golden Broom because it was something significant. Say you're an unranked team, you got a losing record. You go on the road against a top 10 team and you go undefeated for the week and sweep them. That's something significant. That gets you in the line for winning this award. So we started 2 years ago doing podcasts, and that's what we called it, was the Golden Broom Show, from the award that we gave away on our baseball group, the Golden Broom. That's how we got our name. So we've recently rebranded everything, redid our logo, all of that good stuff. And we are on the Villains Media Network now, Villains Sports Media. And it's called the Golden Broom Show. We're going to be on Tuesday nights at 8:30. We'll go for about an hour, just discussing things that happened during the week. Give out a few awards like the Golden Broom, the Dirty Jock Strap. If a team, we'll pick one team every week that just goes out and stinks the place up and plays the worst baseball you've ever seen. They're getting a Dirty Jock Strap award.
What's up,
But
John?
yeah, we're on the Villains Media Sports Media Network too. We'd love to have you. So
They've been known to chop it up and talk some Iowa baseball, too, just so you guys are well aware. So
yes.
And, well, shit, should we get into some we talk about our Big Ten projections, man? It's time to get excited for some baseball, baby. Brandon's not able to be on. I'll share his first. This is Brandon's projection. I mean, Oregon, I think, is unanimous. I mean, they're going to see this no problem. But then it gets interesting between the three of us when we go through 2 through, I think through to 10 are very much different for the three of us. So this one's Brandon's. I'm going to pull up. I'll start with mine. Let me pull mine up for you. So this is what I got. I had Iowa at 5, but Illinois has a lot of firepower. But I will say this, Iowa has not finished lower than 8th since Heller has got there. So there's no chance in hell they're going lower than 6, in my opinion. So That is my take on that. They've made a Big Ten tournament every single time. Iowa has. So I put them at 6. It's kind of that happy medium, but obviously with some room to improve. Now, last year, I had them at 1, and it did not go as well as we had planned. But new year, new Iowa team. But Oregon's unanimous. They are loaded almost every damn position, man. They pitching, hitting, they return lots of bodies. They recruit well. They're a loaded program. I have Indiana at number 2 because I think Indiana has the best player in the Big Ten on them in Devin Taylor. I don't know if you've seen much of Devin Taylor play, but that guy is a freak. He can hit and he can field. And he is fast. He is the total package, man. I think he won – I think he was a freshman All-American his freshman year. He might have been the freshman player of the year in the country that year. I feel like he won a bunch of awards. And he came back this year, and they also returned a top 15 recruiting class from, I think, 2 years ago. I think they were like number 14 or something like that. So I do think Indiana's loaded, and I think they're actually better than Nebraska, which you and I talked off air. Nebraska, this is probably the best Nebraska team I've seen since 2011, 2012. Talented. Lots of arms, too. Can't think of the pitcher's name for them right now. I want to say it's Sam something. Dude is a monster on the mound. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. USC, very good program. I think they will have an uptick for that. I mean, they were kind of down last year. Do you remember what they finished in the pack last year?
They were actually pretty decent last year and probably should have been in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
They were kind of one of them bubble teams last year.
Yeah. Illinois led the Big Ten last year in home runs. They had 105 home runs as a team, I'm pretty sure. They returned a bunch of those sluggers. I think the 2 guys that returned accounted for 50 plus of those. So they have 2 guys returning or 3 guys returning that account for almost over half of those home runs. So they're going to be – and they won the Big Ten last year. So they were the top team last year. And then Iowa obviously at 6. UCLA at 7, traditionally a strong powerhouse program. I think they're going to not do as well as I think they think they're going to do when they get in the Big Ten. So I think we're going to be in for a treat there. Maryland finished like 13th last year. Such a good program. I don't think it continues. But I don't see them making that top 5 push a year after finishing 13th in the Big Ten. So I had to put them there. And then kind of the rest are just kind of – you can go either way with those. I will say Michigan State – they could go either 12 or they could be number 4. They probably have the best pitcher in the Big Ten, in my opinion. I don't know who you think is going to win the Big Ten pitcher of the year, but Joseph, I don't even know how to say his last name.
If it ain't Dwierza, you got the name wrong.
What is it for Dwierza?
Dwierza.
Wierza. Joseph Weird. It's spelled weird and says weird.
Dwierza.
Dwierza. Dude, 6'8". I mean, we talked about with those guys earlier, and the guy has everything, man, the tools. And there's no doubt. I think he's the best pitcher in the Big Ten. I don't know.
I'm still mad at him.
Was he supposed to go to Vandy?
So he entered the transfer portal last year, and then he committed to Vandy, and then like 2 weeks later said, no, I'm staying at Michigan State.
He must have got paid.
Yeah, he did.
There's no way you stay Michigan State over Vandy. I'm sorry, unless there's a lot of money passed over, and Vandy wasn't ready to pay that.
Yeah, somebody got him some money.
So I think they'll win almost all their Friday games. I'm gonna say that right now for Michigan State. I just don't know enough about their Saturday and Sunday dudes to really put them any higher. I had to just kind of settle with them at 12. Rutgers, I think they were a flash in the pan a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember when they were up there and people were talking about them making the tournament, and then they were mad they got left out.
Last year.
It was a flash in the pan for them. I don't think so. Michigan's got a strong class that comes in, but that lack of experience. Minnesota's got a brand new coach, and Northwestern's Northwestern. So I'm just going to leave that at that. We all know about Northwestern and how bad they are. So, all right, your turn. Let me pull this bad boy up for you. Now, see, you did what I thought you could do with Michigan State. Run it down for me.
So Oregon's absolutely loaded. USC was really – they probably should have been in the NCAA tournament last year. They actually finished second in the Pac-12 last year. Imagine that. You got Oregon State, Oregon, UCLA, everybody. They finished second. So I think getting into the Big Ten, a lot of these programs just don't have the talent. And I think USC coming in there, they're going to out-talent most of these programs. Nebraska is loaded. I'll get to see them this weekend.
Yeah, man.
We open with Vanderbilt opens with Grand Canyon on Saturday night or Friday night. Then we get Nebraska on Saturday. So I'll get another good look at them on this weekend. Michigan State, as you said, pitcher of the year in the Big Ten, Joseph Duerza. That's a sneaky pick. I would not be surprised at all if they end up winning the Big Ten. It would not shock me.
If they have some more arms, I'm not surprised because I already said they're going to win almost every Friday game, if not all of them.
And then the next four, Indiana, Maryland, Iowa, Illinois, they're all kind of equal. You can throw them four in a bag, shake it up, and come out with somebody different every day. I mean, that's how close those teams are in reality.
You're not wrong.
So I'm probably higher on Penn State than most people are. But let me tell you, they're dumping some money into their baseball program. I think that's a program on the rise. And I think they're probably 2 years away from being able to compete for a championship in the Big Ten. But keep an eye on that Penn State program. They're getting better every single year.
Yeah.
And same way with Purdue. They're starting to put some money in their baseball program. Minnesota, they've been right there in the Big Ten, very competitive, not always winning, but they're competitive. So I got them ahead of Rutgers. I agree with Brad. I think Rutgers last year winning 48 games was an aberration. That's not normally what they do.
No.
UCLA, I could see them finishing 14th just as much as I can see them finishing in the top 5.
Yep.
Because that's a program, if you know anything about UCLA, they always have fantastic left-handed pitching. Some of the elite left-handed pitchers in all of college baseball every year. So I'm not sure how that plays out in the Big Ten. I got them a little bit lower. I think their bats are a little bit soft. So we shall see. Michigan, I think they're on a slow climb backwards. Ever since they lost their coach to Clemson, losing the College World Series to Vanderbilt, it's just been a steady decline since then.
It has.
Washington, I just don't see anything positive going on there. 2 or 3 years ago, they did get in the NCAA tournament, but again, that's been another team with a steady decline. And Northwestern, God, you got to get it fixed. There's been some ugliness going on at Northwestern, especially in their baseball program. I think it was 2 years ago, the entire coaching staff just quit, like 5 games into the season. It's ugly.
They got the dirty sock, I think, right after that. Speaking of what we were talking about, because how pathetic was that? Quitting on your own players, man.
Yeah, just coaches quit 5 games into the season, just walked away from the program.
Oh, man.
Then they fire the coach. Then they hire a new coach. You got to get it fixed. And there's no excuse for Northwestern to be bad at private schools that are bad at baseball. It comes down to one thing: you're not investing.
No, and this is a different league now, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy thing. This is a different league. I mean, look at the teams that we've added this year. Completely different league. They've expanded the Big Ten tournament to 12 teams now instead of 8. More TV time. Obviously, Iowa, unfortunately, is only on 2 regular season games and then the Big Ten tournament on national TV. But again, we're not projected to do a whole lot. Oregon's on a good amount. Nebraska's on a decent amount. Indiana's on a decent amount. But yeah, you got to start investing. There's only a few programs that are investing. There's not very many that aren't. I mean, Iowa's investing. I mean, you have the background of the new field. That thing's awesome. If you're going to do a turf field, this is how you do it. Right here. Yeah. Hands down. And then you already talked about Penn State investing in Purdue. Other than that, those bottom schools, they're not really doing a whole lot. You go 11 on, other than UCLA, at least on your thing. They're not really investing much. Northwestern's not doing anything. Michigan's kind of just pulled back as soon as they lost their coach. Rutgers is Rutgers. Minnesota's basically going to be like almost an overhaul, man. They finally lost their coach they've had for what? How long was he there for? 20 plus years? 30
years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like, until they get some bodies in there, man, it's going to be a whole different weird. So, but I'm looking forward to it, man. A few other things here before we talk about the game. I didn't want to do it when these guys were on. I didn't want to put Andy on the spot, but players to watch in the Big Ten from the Big Ten Network right here. Mr. Andy Nelson is one of those guys. And then Gabe Mitchell that he talked about, and obviously Cade. Dude, hearing him talk about Cade being the nastiest pitcher that he's encountered, that says a lot, man. You know what kind of pitchers Houston usually rakes in. Houston's traditionally a powerhouse program down there in Texas, man.
Not only that, he saw Bryce Cunningham last year playing when Houston played Vanderbilt. He got to see Bryce Cunningham throwing 102.
Yep.
So that tells you something.
Yeah. When he said that, man, my eyes were like, okay, this guy's the real deal. And I am so glad he did not decide he was going to take up the Rangers on their offer and he decided to come back, because if he has the year I think he could, he could win the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. It's just, we'll see how it all comes together. But 3 Hawkeyes on this list is phenomenal for us, man. I'm pumped for it. Weekend rotation. Boom. No surprise. There he is, left-handed. He's 5'11", 150 pounds. Again, if you saw him at Hy-Vee, you ain't going to have any idea that that's an MLB player walking right by you. That's crazy. And then the other pitchers, Aaron Savory. He is actually one that we recruited, and he came to us. So I'm excited to see his arm. And then Reese Butcher, he's a transfer from Dallas Baptist, who most people don't know. Dallas Baptist is a great program, and they're preseason ranked, I think. Are they inside the top 20, or are they just in the top 25?
Who was that?
Dallas Baptist.
They're inside the top 25.
Yeah, that's a program. That's one of those. That's a private school too, right?
Yes.
Dear Northwestern, take notes. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see these arms in the rotation. Let me take this bad boy away. Hold on one second. All right, on to the party. You want to make some picks for the weekend then? Wrap this bad boy up?
Sure.
All right, man. We kicked the season off in Tampa, Florida, Friday night, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the game is on ESPN Plus. So those who have Disney, you do have this game back home. So if you have the Disney app, you do have ESPN Plus. So log on in there, you'll be able to watch the Hawks. South Florida, not world beaters when it comes to down here in Florida. I think they finished 10 plus games below 500 last year. 0 wins. I reviewed their thing. They lost every big game they were in. Still, probably a talented team when you consider they're down here in the state of Florida. Chris, I'm going to let you pick who wins the series and how many games.
I think Iowa wins the series. I think South Florida might steal one, though. Thing you got to remember about South Florida, I think it was 2021, 2022. They went into Gainesville in the NCAA tournament as a 4 seed and won that regional.
Hold on a second. Keep going.
So that's a team that, I'm not sure how good they're going to be, but they've been competitive.
Yeah, I agree. See, I'm with you on that. I think South Florida takes one game. I'm not sure what game it is, but I definitely think Iowa wins 2 and wins this series. And if Iowa does sweep, it also wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you. Again, I just don't know enough about South Florida. But again, like you've already touched on there, they got some talent down there. It's just, I guess we're going to see how it goes Friday night. And then next week, I didn't even put a graphic up for it, but Tuesday we play Loris in Iowa City, if there is a game. Obviously, I think Iowa's going to win that one too. So I'm thinking before we have next show, Iowa is going to be at 3-1. And to me, that's a good start to the season as they springboard into, honestly, 2 sleeper good games next weekend in Notre Dame on Friday and Stetson on Saturday. Sleeper game. Stetson won 43 games last year or something like that.
Always a solid program.
Yep. Preseason favorite to win their division too in their conference. So that's going to be a sneaky good game. And then Notre Dame's just one of those teams that there's some days they'll come up and bite you in your ass. And then there's other days where they're not very good. So yeah, man. We'll see, brother. It's been fun. I guess we'll see how the weekend goes. I'm excited for baseball to be back. I know you're excited. What are Vandy's first 3 games again?
Grand Canyon on Friday night, Nebraska on Saturday, UC Irvine on Sunday. I mean, all solid programs.
Yep.
And here's the fun part about them. It's at the Desert Classic out in Arizona. It's put on by Major League Baseball. All 3 games in 3 different ballparks.
Different ballparks?
Yes.
That makes things interesting.
Yeah, because you play in 3 different ballparks, and it makes it really, really fun.
Yeah, man, because nobody gets an advantage.
Right.
There's no advantage. You don't get used to nothing in there. As soon as you get used to it, see you later. You're going to the next ballpark. Yeah, man, that'd be wild, man. I mean, last year Iowa played some good non-conference. Obviously, they were in Jacksonville last year and played Virginia, Auburn, and Wichita State, which was pretty doozy, and had obviously Georgia on their schedule and stuff. So I can only imagine what that would be like playing those type of caliber teams in 3 different venues.